weekend, which JB and Sammy are looking forward to.
You know what they didn't do? Shooting the meat patties in the gator's mouth.
That one got nixed?
I didn't see it on the list of what to expect, so.
Is there a list?
I think so.
Did you see the list?
I saw some events somewhere. I got to be honest. I have not committed myself to the All-Star Game project.
So you're going through what you heard around the water cooler.
I love that I opened the show Monday with vague speculation about something like I've done no work on this at all.
Well, why would you do work on that?
Fair enough. Fastest skater, save streak. You know, there's the Tendy tandem. Not going to pretend to know what it is.
Is that like the Teddy, where they throw teddy bears on the ice?
No, Tendy tandem.
Oh, Tendy. I thought you said Teddy.
I think a goalie tries to shoot the puck in the far net, and then there's a save.
Oh, no. It's just a board with a little hole in it. Just
these two tendies.
Isn't it?
Just an intermission puck shoot.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe
We've regressed to shoot and win.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
that was invented in
love shoot and win.
1979.
So, yeah. Anyway, it doesn't sound like alligators are involved, so I'm disappointed.
Wow.
I mostly wanted to make fun of it.
I heard they couldn't cut a deal with
the Gator Union.
The union.
Makes sense.
All right. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, and our boy Sammy McKee here for the next 2 hours. In about 45 minutes, John Tavares is going to join us.
Yeah.
An actual Toronto Maple Leaf is going to come on live.
Wow.
We're not clipping, no Kippers Clippers, just JT live.
What are we going to do? Ask him questions, I guess.
Big 1,000th game.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of points in it.
I heard he had 60 or 70 guests at the game. Do you think he paid for those tickets or no?
We're going to ask him.
60 or 70, there's no way they're making him pay. Like, it's his 1,000th game. It could.
Oh, he paid.
he makes 11 million. They're probably like, yeah. That.
One of the richest, MLS is one of the richest sporting companies in the world. Like, you don't get that way by freebieing everybody in.
Okay. We'll run it by him. I'm curious. That's a lot of tickets.
Well, either he has his own box or he rented a box. I'm sure he jammed everybody in there.
Just packed into a box, yeah.
Just like someone I know at Turtle Island used to do.
Turtle Island?
Oh, forget it.
Okay. Is this a Gord Stellick thing?
No, it's a Teddy thing.
Oh.
All right. John Tavares in about 45 minutes. And I don't know, Sammy, we were kind of waffling. Darren Pang in or Darren Pang out?
Panger's joining us. Today's the only day this week he could do. So we're going to go to Ralphie tomorrow. You know, it's the last minute stuff that gets the real producer, gets your juices flowing, gets you texting and working around and all behind. But here we are.
We made it.
All
right.
And the Leafs made it through the weekend where they split a couple of games. Losers to the Sens 6-2 Friday night, and then they beat the Capitals 5-1. It was a little bit of a Freaky Friday flip where the Leafs were god-awful Friday night.
God, they're lucky we didn't have a Saturday show.
And Sunday, I thought the Washington Capitals were god-awful.
You know what, and I don't say this often about teams because it's not a nice thing to say, but I thought they quit. I thought they just stopped playing. Like the Leafs had like 10 odd man rushes in the third. They just stopped playing.
Complete no-shows.
Yeah.
Whoever I saw on the ice, it was like, did you already make plans on All-Star Weekend?
Sammy had a good point post-game yesterday. Was it looked like they got into town Saturday and had a Saturday night in Toronto, which I'm told can be a good time. It was reflective of some humans who had enjoyed a Saturday night.
Yes. And that was after getting the first goal on the hockey game on a Nicholas Backstrom goal that he hadn't scored since last March.
Wow. I guess they thought they could put their heels up at that point and just relax, but they didn't anticipate the fire of Pierre Engvall. Engvall was, as good as he's been. Controlling play, skating it, shooting it, looking like a hockey player.
Do you want to go to a Kipper's Clipper on Sheldon's overview of the game, or you want to go right to your boy Engvall?
No, let's start with the big picture. Let's do that.
Okay.
Took a while for our game to get going. First period was, a bit quiet for us. We didn't really get a whole lot happening with our game offensively. We got a few chances, but nothing sustained, and didn't play the way we wanted to. That we had to really get skating after that. They get a power play goal in the first period. That's the difference in the period. But I thought for us to really take over the game, we had to really get skating. So that was our message between periods, and I thought we really increased our pressure on the puck. And as a result, just got a lot more territory, put them in some bad spots, and then our guys made good on their chances.
Yeah,
I don't want to take anything away from the Leafs, but it was to your point a little bit that like Washington was so slow that it looked like second or third gear would have just been enough for the Leafs to handle them, and that to me is what it looked like.
Yeah,
like they didn't bring their A game on Sunday.
No,
they didn't need it though.
To your point, they were good enough. They were as good as they had to be. They were better than Washington. They deserve credit. A lot of the, I mentioned Engvall. I thought a lot of the bottom six forwards looked pretty good. But yeah, to get back to the theme for me, that was a team that Washington team didn't offer much pushback. They, like Keith said, they started putting him in some bad spots and forechecked a little harder, and Washington was very permissive, basically saying, after you. And that is the type of game where a guy like Engvall just feasts, by the way.
If you look at the Washington Capitals, and I don't know what their record is since John Carlson has been out, and he is not expected back at least through probably the majority of the regular season. If they get into the playoffs, he should be able to come back since then.
He makes a big deal for them. You're a big difference. I'm trying to say
he's just. They didn't have Tom Wilson, who's nursing a bruised injury since he returned off of his ACL surgery. So there's two guys, but it's funny because you can watch John Carlson leave the Washington lineup, and they can't win 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other hand, Morgan Riley and Muzzin have been out, and Leafs have had some great stretches.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a stat that the Leafs have only had their top 6, if you don't count Jake Muzzin. But they've only had their top 6 guys in 8 of 50 games this season, or 51 or whatever, where they've actually had Hall and Gio and Sandin and Liljegren, Morgan and Brody. They were all there. They dominant in those games. That to me makes a big difference when they have all those guys. So, yep, solid D-core, but can't take on. I don't know. You don't want to be without Morgan for too long.
Okay, if we're on to the Morgan Riley topic of conversation right now, scored a goal.
He did.
And the reaction was one of hallelujah.
Yeah, look into the heavens. I think on this show, Sam and I committed to betting $10 a game for Morgan Riley to score. Third game.
Did you get it?
I got it.
I didn't.
10 paid 70.
$70.
Yeah. That's a good deal. I think if I bet that the rest of the year, I probably come out ahead. As in, he need to score once every 6 games. I like his odds.
You really like your odds. Just funny. Why would they give you such good odds on that?
Well, Morgan had 10 goals last year.
He had 0 goals.
I know.
They have to entice
but
you
he's
to
still.
bet it.
He's not. He's not like he's not Victor Mete. Like, what would Victor Mete if he played? What odds would you get that?
1,400 or something. A lot, because you're not winning the bet. So they're pretty good. They got that stuff pretty dialed in. I remember for a while when Austin Matthews was hot last year. If you bet $10 on him to score a goal, you couldn't even win $10. Like, he was more likely to score than not. So, not the case with Riley.
Does Morgan Riley have to score here? I watch him, and watching the relief is everything you need to know about what this guy was feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure. If I was coaching him, I would tell him I'm not worried about
the offensive side of things.
Another goal.
Yeah.
Just take the weight. Take that weight off his shoulders.
Yeah. Let's listen to him, and then I got something else on that. Let's listen to Morgan.
just relief, that's all. It felt good. Got some good karma yesterday from Easter Seals. So was out there with those guys a lot and smiling, and I think that's what it was.
You made good on your promise to them.
Yeah, and well, I wouldn't call it a promise. It was more of a hopeful guess, but that's about it.
Think a little Johnny asked him to score a goal?
Apparently he did.
Apparently he was catching some chirps that he hadn't scored.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like some of the kids down there were kind of giving him a tough time that he hadn't put one in the back.
Ah,
of the net.
that's nice.
I like that.
Shut up, kid.
Hurt
I'm
feelings.
here on my off day.
It's a fast league. Come on.
Hey, this is the thanks I get.
I do have,
Scram, beat it.
do you think there's an element for Riley where hockey for at this point in his career of his life was maybe not the most important thing for a minute, going into the season where it was like he had signed the nice extension. He is recently engaged, so he's obviously a serious relationship to Tessa Virtue.
Blaming his fiancée for taking his focus off.
He has a contract. He has a serious relationship. The Leafs are told that the only thing that matters is playoffs. No one cares, Morgan, what you guys do in the regular season. So I'm saying it wouldn't be beyond me if that was my life to say that
I'm going soft.
I'm a pretty good hockey player. I'll go out there and just see how it goes. Not to mention he's handed, oh, by the way, your partner tonight is Ben, and now it's Mete, and now it's
Connor Timmins.
Yeah, Timmins, and then it's everyone.
It's Liljegren.
So he hasn't exactly gone into this year like hockey. Hockey's the most important thing in my world, and maybe it's coming around now, right? Everything's.
Bourne and I touched a little bit on this last night in the postgame show, but I don't know, it's unquantifiable how much different somebody looks when the puck enters the net off their stick. And right after Morgan Riley scored that goal, he just looked at least 2 times better than he'd looked the rest of the year to me.
It's just nitrous.
It just seemed to completely change him on the ice. Like, I just felt like I know we were talking about how dog do the Caps were, which is completely fair, but it just really looked like he almost took it over after that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that what you're saying is completely out of left field. I mean, those conversations have gone on forever when it comes to
humans are human,
right?
I'd love to say I come in here with my exact best every day, but sometimes it's a little less.
The big one when we played,
Working his bag off.
was towards the latter part of the season when some of the Europeans look like they've checked out, and the thought that the World Championships meant more to them than the Stanley Cup playoffs, knowing that you don't get paid in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Sure. I mean, it's human. And you know this better than I would, better than anyone, just that there's so much going on in your life. And, whether it's relationships or business deals that people have, or, some guys are hockey obsessive and some guys are humans who play hockey. And it can be tough, I think, sometimes to.
I'd fight my mom to win another Stanley Cup.
to for 15 years be dialed in 100% every day.
The one thing with Morgan, though, for me, that's been a constant is that when I watch him, it's almost as if he's like caught in the middle of trying too hard.
Being an offensive D-man or just a D-man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which are you, right?
Well, it's just maybe even a processing thing that sometimes he's just caught either pinching when he shouldn't be pinching or jumping up on a rush when he shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that just comes from trying too hard.
I wish there was a slide bar, like 0 to 100 for aggressiveness, and you could toggle it for a player, because I'd like to make him a little bit less aggressive, like a little bit less risk-taking and just a little bit more with his speed.
More TJ Brody mentality.
Yeah, and right. And I know we don't want Riley to be Brody, but to err on the side of being Brody rather than being Erik Karlsson. If you had to pick which guy you were going to try to play like, because I think his natural offensive abilities would come out. If he's in the defensive side of the puck, opportunities will present themselves, and he'll take advantage of it. I don't think he needs to create where there's nothing present.
All right. TJ Brody back in the lineup. Let's go to Sheldon Keefe on having him back.
What did you make of TJ's performance in his first game back here?
Solid. Just great to have him back.
That's the most Brody clip of all time.
Why didn't he feel like he needed to go into this 4-minute how brilliant he is, the majority of his team?
Do you guys think we talk about anyone on the Leafs less than TJ Brody?
That's a good question.
Yeah, just move on.
I would love statistics on the amount of times we say each player's name over the course of a year.
That might be the biggest compliment. Is that
huge. That's where I was going with that.
We don't.
He's not a problem.
Not an issue. Not a problem. Nothing stands out mistake wise.
He's a B+ every night.
He's turned himself into a very good referee. Where we don't complain about him, it's a good night.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty remarkable the fact that he came here on a somewhat big free agent ticket. It was, I think, what did he make?
4 times 5.
4 times 5 for, was it 4 years that he signed that contract?
Yeah.
And he plays on the top pair of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we never have a conversation about him.
He's just.
It's the first time in the history of this team that's
Because we
happened.
don't look at each other and you're like, king of the hill. And go, yep, defends well.
You want to know why the biggest reason for that is? Because he's in that perfect soft spot where $5 million isn't too little and it's not too much. It's porridge.
He's probably worth 6. He gets paid 5.
Okay? It's in the perfect sweet spot. If this guy was making 6.5, 6.25,
you go, he never does anything.
Doesn't do anything. I don't even
created a
notice
thing
him
up
out there. Right?
What's he bringing to the table? Why are we paying this guy 7?
That's why the salary cap's so stupid.
Right. We shouldn't even have to.
Another reason
Well,
why.
no, but
we
it's
shouldn't
true.
even have to know what these guys make.
Like, well, no, I think TJ Brody's the perfect test case in this because he gives them value at $5 million. It's like, oh, he's really good defensively, doesn't score a whole lot, if ever. Don't notice him. But if he's making $1 million more, we're like, oh, I need more production out of him. Like, it's ridiculous.
There's a lot of Islanders fans, like old school Islanders fans that I'll talk to that'll be like, no one appreciated Kenny Morrow. Like, Kenny Morrow was this guy who, kept hard-nosed guy, did the right thing. If Ken Morrow made $6 million and was worth 5, they'd have buried him. Like the fact that anyone has to, we don't have a clue what Kenny Morrow made. And he's beloved because of it. You're right. The salary cap buries a lot of these guys who aren't the flashy ones on the team.
Kenny Morrow.
That is your Kenny Morrow block of the show.
From the 1980 gold medal team to 5 Stanley Cups.
Did he win a 5th?
I don't know.
He was a part of the 4 with
No,
the
he's
Islanders.
just the 4 with the Islanders.
Just the 4 with the Islanders?
He retired in 88, 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Nice story.
Yeah, great.
First time he got brought up in this show's history.
He gets mentioned as often as TJ Brody.
all for $60,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in car salesman money and off he goes. Yeah. Fans love
That's not what we're talking about.
Well, and to be honest, we could talk about a couple people with the money thing because Tavares is the star of the show here today. Pierre Engvall is a relevant guy we're going to talk about. And you can't act like we don't view those players through the lens of their contract.
I think the time I do notice Brody is when he's going back on a puck. When it goes back into his corner or back along his boards, it usually comes out in good shape.
2-on-1s too. When he's defending a 2-on-1, I'm okay with it being him. I want it to be him.
Yeah.
Are we at TJ Brody
No,
now?
we're good. We're good.
What else do you say?
and for me, if I was playing him in a best of 7, I'd dump it into his corner all day long and just try to hammer him.
Yeah. It's funny. He's been here 3 years and you've never seen him upset. Oh, 2 years?
He's a guy that I think, you'd want to avoid what Sam's talking about. Going in, picking it up clean, and then making a great first pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not flashy. He just wants it to go north. Just get it out of here. I don't really care how we do this.
Okay, you mentioned Pierre Engvall, a bit of a whipping boy in the last few years, you think, Sammy, for Sheldon?
I think probably not just for Sheldon, Kyper.
For you?
Maybe a guy sitting behind the glass. Yeah.
You got to be warming up a little bit to him.
No.
Good answer.
No.
This is just covered in change. Does he play well?
This is the annual smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
Every year we have this conversation where he gets hot for a couple weeks. He's going north.
So predictable.
It happens every year.
Have a good pocket of play in the middle of the season when other teams get sloppy.
I can't wait to hear Sheldon Keefe. I want to get a sense that he's warming up a little bit more than you, Sammy. Let's have a listen.
He's done a good job. I think he's found his way through some inconsistencies to for me, in the last, I'd call it 15 games, he's really done a good job for us, both in transporting the puck, getting the puck to the net, scoring some timely goals for us. I'm happy with his game for sure. I mean, I think he's a guy that can continue to grow and always can give us more, but I think we've really been happy with his the last segment of games for him.
Found his way, Sammy. He's found his way.
He's found his way to 0 goals in 17 playoff games.
Oh, jeez. That's an indictment. He's got 10 on the season, though.
Listen, this is his Super Bowl. Against a team that's slow and not trying to hit, it's when he's going to look his best. Listen,
You know, love him.
everyone is going to get tricked again. Like, Kyle Dubas going to get tricked again. Keefe going to get tricked again. Everybody's going to get
But if
tricked
they
again.
get tricked again, they're out of work. You realize that, right?
100%.
Everybody's out of work.
I completely agree. I don't think Kyle Dubas will be out of work very long.
This is Engvall's last season. It's actually really interesting at 2.25, like what his next contract looks like. Guy who scored,
3.
he got 15 last year. He's going to
3.
get 15
Yeah.
this year.
3 plus.
He'll get $3 million with the Edmonton Oilers next year.
Oh no, he has done enough to warrant probably $1 million raise.
But see, this is so funny that you talk about him as someone who deserves a raise, because we don't ever come on here and go like, he was amazing last game, and we're still like, oh yeah, Engvall. And is he the ultimate most frustrating guy? I just think of him coming out of the D zone with the puck, and he's so long and so fast that he's always pulling away from whoever's chasing him. Like, he does so much good, and I just can't help but come in here and be like, I don't know about that guy.
If your pro scout caught him on the right night, you'd be like, we got to trade a first for him. Like, holy crap.
He plays for the Leafs.
He is the last, to Sheldon's point, the last 12, 15 games, he's skating the puck more.
Really well.
He's cutting a lot harder with the puck.
He shoots it like as well
He's
as hard as anyone.
He's protecting the puck more, and he's finding post and in now.
I know.
Like,
He's got 0 in 17 playoff games. Do you think he's going to get some this year?
I wish he would accidentally run over somebody.
I know, just bump into
But
someone.
that's not him, and it's not his game.
So Kipper.
He's going to score a big playoff goal. Book it.
So that's perfect. So going into the first round matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're happy and comfortable with him as you're on your third line going up against Tampa.
I am.
There's nothing that
Tricked. You've been hoodwinked and
there's nothing that makes me comfortable about anything. Okay. Let's get that straight. We are now in the best of a, I'm not going to say bad situation, but not an ideal situation. He falls into the best of not an ideal situation. A 6'5" guy who doesn't like to hit.
When he's going, right?
At 15, 17, 20 goals. I need 6'5" to at least make people nervous to move the puck faster.
Pretend he's 5'9" then, and just enjoy what you get out of him at that height.
Mid.
He's got such a great, he is such a great looking player.
Oh, he is. And
I'm not even talking about the mirror with him. Like, he's a great looking player.
I was thinking about it driving in today, and the Max Talbot goals or the whoever it is in Game 7 that gets a couple random ones.
Killorn, Palat.
Someone who you're like, who Nick Paul gets their game winner against the Leafs.
Who's their Fernando Pisani?
Fernando Pisani's a great one. Engvall's going to get a goal this year in playoffs. Can we get a clip of that? Engvall's going to get a huge goal for the Leafs in playoffs this year.
That'd be nice.
And if it's one, it still won't be enough.
No, it's going to be like an OT winner or something. And everyone's going to be like, Engvall. It's coming, boys.
If Engvall gets an OT winner in the playoffs in the first round, I will sit in there with you guys and do the show topless.
Sammy, please. I mean,
that's it. Book it. Lock.
I usually eat just prior to the show starting. You can't throw that stuff out.
You need to get sunglasses.
Yeah, we'll finally have a sponsor. We'll all be wearing the milk logo for you for that day. That's great.
Anyways,
are we Engvalled out? A Brody and Engvall show. You people must be riveted right now.
With the rise of Engvall means like Kerfoot's taken on a little bit of a lesser role or a less noticeable. Any concerns there?
Or
is he a $3.5 million fourth line guy.
Here's how I feel about it. The other day, and I'll give Sammy full credit for this because he's the guy who mentioned it. When Holmberg was the second line center and Keefe saw 30 minutes of that. And as you mentioned, they were like, get Kerfoot back up there. The line instantly looks better with Kerfoot there, right? He's that guy that can handle being in that spot.
Yeah.
He's not a centerman. He's not a top six guy, but it's better than seeing what Holmberg's
best
got.
Of not an ideal situation because now I got two left wingers that don't really like to run into people.
Yeah. I mean, that it is going to come down to that level for the Leafs. Are you able to find a physical engagement level to handle the first round? I mean, it's not a Neanderthal topic. It's a real hockey topic. I saw Taylor Hall play the Tampa Bay Lightning the other day and run into Vasilevsky and Tampa players fighting each other to get to Taylor Hall. And then everyone in Boston fighting to get to the Tampa players. And it was like this level of engagement and animosity that I was like, that's coming. So Engvall's not going to be able to skate away from Brandon Hagel when he wants to punch him in the face, and neither's Kerfoot.
Are you tough enough to play this game?
And that's Taylor Hall.
I know,
one-time MVP of the league.
Yeah.
Now, on some nights, third line winger.
Yep, knows his role, gets in there, skates hard, takes it to the net. So it's just a matter of these guys having to find that level in the postseason. I'm not asking them to do it for 82 games.
I'm just going to, my concerns are just still very high about the bottom six of the Leafs. And I want it to be better. And I'm not sure how they afford to make it better, but I want it to be better and bigger.
I believe we're 4 weeks from the trade deadline today.
Are you telling me that an Aston Reese backhand goal that made it 5 was it 5-1?
Yes.
The 5-1 goal isn't one of those moments where you go, yes, now the fourth line is solidified with the
You condescending.
I mean,
no.
Pat Mahomes was driving for a touchdown at that point. I might not have seen that one. No, it was a nice goal. Great tuck.
It was a great goal.
Really nice move.
But
all these guys are just the same guy. Every guy that the sort of crew that they're rotating in and out, it's just there's no difference to them. They all don't really have a pop or they don't have a identifiable skill. It's a hard.
Like Joey Anderson's not in the lineup in playoffs to start if everyone's healthy. Right?
You don't think?
Was that
if as presently constant?
How many games have I watched him play? And
was it last night?
He scored.
He had an empty net.
Yes, it was last night. Oh my God, he missed so bad.
Was that Anderson? No, I thought that was Kemp.
I was just
both of them had
off the Engvall pass back door.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, whether they score or not. At the end of the day, it won't really matter whether you're in the lineup or not. But you can't miss those opportunities when you don't know.
You're a bench NBA player and you get garbage minutes. You can't miss a layup. You know, you just can't.
So that. How much longer do you go through fourth line tryouts before you have to go off the board?
I'm hoping off the board is coming soon because as presently constituted, it's a huge issue for the Leafs going up against Tampa.
Do you guys think here with Boston losing 3 in a row, can you squint and talk yourselves into there's 30 games left in the season, the Leafs catching their 11 points back?
No.
They got 3 games against Boston. Thank you, Derek. 3 games against Boston, 11 points.
I think that's a pretty good question for the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. In about 15 minutes, John Tavares is joining us.
Is he really? That's
what
exciting.
Do you think?
That's great.
You going to ask him that?
I'll ask him, sure.
Should we talk about Matt Murray?
Do you want me to give you Tavares' answer before I ask it?
No.
Or just
hear him say that.
No, I want to hear your answer.
He's going to say that they just can control what's in front of them, get the points they can, and see how things shake out.
That's really true. That's right.
Or he could say, yeah.
We got them. They're dead.
Well, those Bruins, they're no good. We're not afraid of them.
I'm glad I'm not going to the All-Star game. I'm going to the Bahamas. I'm going to rest up. I plan on resting up some more. No, we can't catch them.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, my God. Please, God, let him say that.
We're just getting ready. I'm going to be well-rested for Tampa Bay.
We haven't even started playing yet. Not even trying. Would you like to hear Keith talk about John?
You know that story will grow, though, when if and when they beat the Boston Bruins on Wednesday.
I could really see them beating the Bruins like badly on Wednesday.
6-2.
Yeah, like something crazy because like the Bruins are.
And then we come in here and go,
oh my, and it just doesn't matter at all. You know, can't you picture it? Like it might matter because then you're only how many points back? 9 points back. Like you can start convincing yourself.
You know what the worst part about that though? They can win 6-2 and we'll come in here and go, wow, but it probably doesn't matter. But if they lose 6-2 to the Bruins, we're gonna have a crisis show about how they can't hang.
Welcome to Sports Talk Radio, baby.
You can't win.
It's still
unfair.
It is still hard for teams to catch teams, and I know it's only just Toronto to Boston.
Florida beats Boston the other night. Boston gets the loser point, and just inches along.
It's just even Florida has been pretty good lately, and they cannot. It's still hard for them to close.
Still 2 teams in front of them to get the playoffs. They are how many points back? 3 points back at the last spot with 2 teams between them.
We're hearing all this stuff about the Metro having 5 teams in there. After watching the Capitals and the Penguins lately, like I'm not sure it won't be 5 teams from the Atlantic. Like Buffalo is apparently unbelievable. They're plus 20 goal differential. Florida's -5, Pittsburgh's +8. Like they look good.
Pitt losing at home in regulation
to the Sharks.
To the Sharks.
That sucked. And did they blow it late too or something? Yeah.
Oof. Okay. You mentioned Matt Murray. We got to mention Samsonov. Let's go to Sheldon Keefe on his goaltender on the weekend.
Not an easy game for him either, right? I mean, he's been rolling well. He's been playing a lot more than we would like him to or that he was intended to. Obviously, didn't get the day off that we thought he might. And then, the game doesn't go well for him the other night too. So all of that, and then you bring in his old team into town, and I thought he was excellent. The guys did a really good job in front of him, particularly in periods 2 and 3. But yeah, I thought he was good, and it's a really good game for him. Good win for him. Good win for our team, and a good example of what we didn't have the other night in terms of the team taking care of the goaltender. So I thought it was good all the way around.
The team taking care of him. Interesting note because that game against the Senators, which again we haven't talked about. That was atrocious.
Yeah, it was really bad. But 82 of these guys, there's just going to be some nights
every team
you
has
just don't have it. Not even a question, right? Worst game of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, again, maybe it's just unique to, like, the games I've seen lately. But, I don't know if you watch any of the Jets lose to the Flyers on Saturday night, but kind of look like they quit a little bit. The other night, it just seems like teams right now, you go down a couple of goals, it's game 50. I don't know. We really are seeing a lull in competitiveness leading up to the All-Star break as far as I'm concerned.
And my apologies. Saturday night was date night. I didn't get to see you on Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, let me tell you, Canadian Senators. It
just seemed ideal.
Tough night for matchups, let me tell you. Did the
just
best
seemed an ideal time to take my wife for dinner.
Yeah.
When I saw
Took her to Pizza Hut when you saw the matchups.
Ottawa versus Montreal. How about you, Sammy?
I was at a party. Went to a party. Watched wrestling, actually. To a Royal Rumble party.
Sorted out your sock drawer or...
No, I sorted out some beverages.
Ridley Gregg was really good, guys, if you're interested.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
So I had left the show on Friday thinking we were going to see Matt Murray play.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I get into the alumni box, I look up and I'm like, oh, Sammy gave me a bad scoop. Said Matt Murray was in. He's not.
So, ankle. But how strange. So, he had been fine for a period of time. It had been a nagging injury, it sounds like. And then...
Took warm-up. Stayed, right? And backed up.
He couldn't have gone. He got asked after.
Yes,
and
couldn't have gone.
It would have been an e-bug.
So, what are they, just bluffing the other team or something?
Probably.
And no point in, rushing or crashing into our goalie because we have a backup?
Yeah, so he was sitting on the bench there. It's not... Why is he even involved? If he's this guy's really got a bad injury history. You obviously want to keep him healthy around the playoffs or whatever. But why is he even there if he's not feeling right? Like it was just
Yeah.
you put yourself in an unnecessarily weird situation to have to throw your red hot goalie in when he didn't know he was going to be starting. It just was a really odd situation.
Funny too, because like he gets hit by a Nylander shot before he heads to the bench and warm up. Like there's one up by his ears and he tries to catch it and he misses and it hits him in the collarbone and then he skates off. And
Head high clapper at the end of warm up. Every goalie loves that.
Yeah, well, Willie did go over to went over and apologize.
I would hope so.
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad. It was like he probably could have caught it, and I thought that was the issue. It turns out he just has a bad glove, and that didn't even hurt him. But do you got to get a goalie? Do you have to get a goalie? Like is Joseph Wall? You're going to go with Samsonov and maybe Murray and Joe Wall, who's played no games in the NHL this year, or Shalgren? Do you need the David Rittich trade, the third for a guy who you could at least be gumming the dam if there's a hole?
That is that's a question that they're going to have plenty of time during All-Star break and then their bye week to think about.
Well, Thatcher Demko. You get Demko? Canucks trying to turn things around. Elliott saying they'd maybe be potentially, possibly, perhaps open to moving him.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Can't see it.
Just from Vancouver. Well, the Leafs, it's a waste of assets. You have so many places to spend.
What's Demko's?
No, don't look at his numbers this year. Oh, his contract.
Yeah, his contract.
His numbers this year.
Yeah.
Really
No.
not
Well,
good.
They have Curtis Sanford though, so
he had
Oh, that's true.
he had signed a new extension there, right?
He did. I think it's 4 times 5 or 5 times 5. I'll pull it up for you. I didn't know that's what you wanted. It is. Oh, it starts now. Oh, he's on IR. There it is. 5 times 4 more years. So this year plus 3 more.
5.
It's Murray's number.
times.
It's Murray's number, essentially. So this year and then 3 seasons after, $5 million.
Just to kind of touch on your thought process
He's an 883
here,
this year.
like Demko, prior to signing that contract, was considered one of the better, younger up and comers.
I mean, he's just turned 27. He's 6'4", 195. He was a 915 last year, 915 the year before.
Who has proven that he can hit some high levels.
Yeah, 915 on the Canucks and 64 starts, by the way.
What do you think that would cost?
Yeah, like so much. I mean, probably, right? Like a first and a prospect type of thing, which you want to spend so many other places.
Exactly.
So it's not so much that you wouldn't want Demko for that. It's that you got other problems to worry about.
I think it's also that it is a little bit scary to try to depend on Murray though. Like on the flip side of this, right?
Very.
Like you have him in the net saying he's going to start, and then he comes out and says, "I'm not going to start," and in the warm up.
And one of the Stanley Cups he won, he wasn't available due to injury until the final, right? Not taken away from his
absolutely.
whatever, but it is relevant that he is a guy that even in his best years, this has been an issue.
This is not ideal, and this was something that I think Leaf management was hoping would look after itself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's out there now.
Yeah.
It is out there, and yeah.
Before we break to get to
thinking to
Tavares,
do.
do you want to hear what Keefe said about Tavares? Do you guys want to do that before we
let's
get to
do
him?
that.
Yeah, he's a consummate pro, and this is a big day for him. And when it's not a regular game for a guy like him that is routine and as regimented as he is, there'd be a lot of stuff happening today that would be out of the norm. But for him to work through that, still enjoy the moment, enjoy the special time with his family, and then go out and play and perform and be a part of the win the way he was, it's a great way to finish it off.
Okay, we're going to touch on that and a ton more with the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares, is going to join us after the break. Don't want to miss it. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We're back after these words.
Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
The Kypreos, Justin Bourne settling in as we await the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares. Looked like a real busy weekend for him, didn't it, JB?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting hearing Keith talk about how different it would be routine-wise for him, someone who really sticks to a structure. I actually read a Jason Spezza quote recently that talked about how regimented Tavares is in terms of prioritizing his time and everything. So, yeah, different type of weekend where your kids are around before the game, you're shaking hands with, you know, everyone who's someone in the organization. Very different.
How about you? Were you like that at all in terms of how strict you were on a game-to-game basis and what you liked, what you didn't like?
I regret not being more like that. To be honest, I think it was an immaturity thing on my part and something you learn. A lot of players take too long to learn.
Okay, as promised, let's welcome in the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares. JT, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure it's an off day for you and one that you may need after recharging your batteries. How busy was it for you?
Yeah, it was very busy. Thanks for having me on. But yeah, I think obviously a lot of great things yesterday. Obviously playing and just everything that went with it. Being a pretty cool milestone to hit. So definitely feeling some of that today, but it's all good and nice to have a couple of days here before we're back at it on Wednesday. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
So JB here to JT is really concerned about how expensive it was for you this weekend. How many tickets was it, JB?
60 or 70, do you say? Had that many people at the game?
Yeah. So it was really fortunate. I think the organization was very helpful in that regard, and my teammates as well with our allotted tickets and the way they stepped up to the plate and took good care of me there. I definitely owe them one. So, but yeah, there's still some expenses to the weekend for sure. I'll let my wife handle those, and I'll just continue to try to focus on playing some good hockey.
That's great. It sounded, I mean, it was beautiful seeing your kids out there with the silver sticks and all that, like in Toronto, somewhere where you grew up wanting to play. Obviously, just such a cool moment for you. When you watch that video back before the game and maybe you were reflective on your own career, what are you most proud of? What were you thinking about watching that video?
Well, I think there's lots of things. I think, obviously, definitely very proud of myself of, I think the commitment, the work ethic, the sacrifice and dedication and really, it's really all those things because I think just the love of the game and the same feelings I get when I put my skates on. Even though there's different components now from when you're a kid to being a professional and playing in the NHL, but the same feelings I get and excitement to play the game and to compete are the same as I have as a kid. So I think just a lot of that, and I think just a lot of gratitude for a lot of people, and obviously two great organizations and a big part of my career and helped me get to this point and where I'm at. So just really grateful for that, and obviously really special, like you said, to have this game and this milestone where I grew up and to have so many people that were all part of that, either through my childhood and coming up through junior hockey and then obviously professionally. So really nice to share with them and with my teammates and the organization. So all in all, it was a great day.
We're joined with the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares. JT, on this show, we often break down Sheldon Keefe's every word right down to the nitty gritty. One of them today was in regards to your structure, your routine. For some of those listening out there, I mean, what does he mean? What's a game by game situation with you? If it's a 7:00 start and the things that you go through, maybe you can kind of quickly let our listeners and our watchers understand what they mean when they talk about your routine.
Well, something that has always kind of given me a lot of confidence and probably something I've, just realized and picked up on are things that I've learned from, different people throughout my career, and just getting a sense of who I am as a player is just preparation, and it gives me a lot of confidence and helps me feel good. And not that I really want to be so strict, but I think, you want to develop a really good process and habits that, put you in the best possible, state of mind. And I think, obviously physically on a day-to-day basis. And as I get older, just your better understanding, you've been through it a lot of times. And the more that you learn, whether about yourself or just the things that can make a difference from you over a long grind, and the challenges of being consistent and playing at a high level and an elite level that, I want to push for and be at and what I expect of myself. So there's a lot of things that I think are important that, I try to take care of, from, just even the simple things of, routine of just when you go to bed, when you wake up, and, obviously how you take care of yourself, the way you eat and hydrate, and all the other things that are a big part of, recovery and performance these days that a lot of science has gotten behind. So, something I've been intrigued about and seen from other athletes or players or guys I've been around, or obviously throughout our staff and the things they bring to our attention. And, as I'm getting older, continuing to refine those things that I can still obviously play at an elite level and continue to make the most of this opportunity and just enjoying playing the game. So something I enjoy and something that helps bring me confidence and helps me feel prepared. So, and obviously being a father now and having a family, managing my time is extremely important, and maximizing all that and making sure that, that's priority number one for me in my life. So that's part of it as well. It really puts a lot of things in perspective and kind of weeds out and maybe a lot of things that you used to do or the way you used to spend your time and allocate it and whatnot that, it's helped me kind of even dial those things even a little bit more.
John, when you look at that, the career arc for yourself again, I'm, thinking of watching you at the Islanders in your early days. Obviously, as a player coming into the league, there's just a lot of go and show everyone what you can do. Has your style changed intentionally in any way? Like, do you feel like when you go into a game and you talk about your routine, what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to bring, is that always been the same, or has it evolved as you've evolved over the years?
Oh, yeah, no question that's evolved, I think. As a young player, and obviously, a lot of expectations. And I think even just for me, what I expected of myself, you want to come in and you want to prove yourself. And I think, you never have to, you always constantly have to prove yourself. But I think to establish, better to say that to establish myself as a player in a league and as a good player and obviously pushing to be an all-star and an elite player and counted on in a lot of areas and the strength of my game, obviously offensively, and what I was able to do as a kid and through junior hockey. Obviously, you want to find that confidence and bring that ability in, and then it's, really fine-tuning, the areas of your game that need some work and some polishing and some that comes through experience. And obviously, playing in the league and understanding the league and obviously, what you learn that is important to help bring success to all parts of your game and how they all become connected. As I've really come to kind of realize over this, last few years of my career, how important that is. And I think, my role is, probably changed over the last few seasons, especially I think with Sheldon coming in, and he's been great. And helping me with that, especially with, just the way, Austin has become one of the best players in the world and how our team dynamic has kind of worked out. Just how you approach things and having a feel for your game and the team and how that dynamic works and how you can make the biggest impact possible. So, I've tried to take a lot of pride in that and enjoy that part, that evolution part, and continuing to find the areas or the mindset that you want to attack and improve upon and see how things can kind of evolve. And when you play and gain experience, you see other guys around the league or guys that you've played with who have been through that and you can pick up things here and there and you learn from all those things. So that's the benefit of, playing in 1,000 games now or 14 seasons and that evolution. I think it's critical to always think just what you did yesterday is going to work tomorrow. Can be a little bit short-sighted. But in saying that, I also think it's important to know what your strengths are and to be good at your strengths because that is always kind of the foundation of your game.
And then again, it doesn't hurt. And there must be some sort of comfort in looking over your side and either seeing Marner or Nylander. What do you and Austin just draw straws before the game, and there's really no loser either way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big reason why I came here. You see what those guys were doing, and they're on their coming into the league as extremely young players, so much expectation, a lot of attention, especially playing in Toronto and what that brings, and their ability to handle it, and obviously their skill sets and the exceptional talents they all are. You obviously want to, play with good players and seeing where they were at in their careers and where I was at in mine, and knowing the opportunity of the contract I was going to be able to sign, and it made a lot of sense and was, part of the decision-making process. So no doubt, anytime you get to play with elite players like that, it just makes the game that much easier, and you learn so much more about the game and get so much better. I talk a lot about, in practice, whether it's going up against Austin or you're working together in whatever we're doing in our team settings or some of our skill development work. You just get so much better being around those types of players and challenging yourself, going up against them every day, and you gain obviously so much respect for them and love playing with them, but they also help make you better.
So cool seeing your kids with the Islanders patch and the Leafs patch on their little jackets. I'm curious about what the difference is in your relationship with Long Island and your different relationship with Toronto. Obviously, both positive experiences on the balance. Just wonder what's different. I know it's a tough market here in Toronto, given all the media attention, and obviously, I imagine there's a lot of noise it being your hometown.
Yeah, I mean, different places, but both obviously incredibly special to me and impactful to me. Being just a young kid getting drafted first overall, the Islanders was a tremendous honor, and obviously I took that with tremendous pride and tried to give it everything I have every single day, and really embraced being an Islander. And it's obviously a very passionate and proud fan base, and the organization. Obviously, we were working hard and doing the best we can to try to turn things around, and have a lot of great memories, tremendous relationships built there, and obviously it was a big part of me growing up and becoming the player and person I am. And obviously just a really unique opportunity when things kind of came together and decided to come to Toronto. At the end of the day, I love to play the game, and there's a lot of different things and things that you can read or listen to or watch or see. But at the end of the day, I think I just try to go out there and give it everything I have and believe in my ability and have fun, and know that getting to play in a market like Toronto with the history and tradition of the organization, and obviously an unbelievable fan base, it doesn't get much better than that. So, it's really special. I think, that's what makes it great is expectations are high, and people want the team to do so well, so badly, that, I think 99% of the things that I hear or when I'm in around town and people see is all so positive, and I think they love the team, watch the team, and the type of players that we have. So, just continue to work at it, and obviously for us to find a way to break through.
We're talking to John Tavares, the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. JT, just going into the last 30 games as one of the leaders on the team, where is the focus these last 30 games? We're watching a Boston Bruins team absolutely run away with a lot of things so far in this National Hockey League regular season. But, is that something that you guys discuss in the dressing room? A couple of losses, a win by you guys. Is that something that you have to keep an eye on? Is there believers that you can still make this thing close in the Atlantic Division?
Well, I think all we can do is control what we can control, and obviously that's with our play and trying to earn the results that we need. And however that falls, we'll see. I think obviously they've been playing at a record rate, which has been really impressive. I think at the end of the day, we know the road to get to where we want to get to is going to be extremely difficult. The East overall, and obviously our division is tremendously tough. I think we saw that last year as well. So I think think it's just continuing to build our game, obviously earn the results that we need, and see where things fall. Obviously, you want to put yourself in the best possible position. And so, continuously, honestly, just trying to take things day by day, as boring as it can sound sometimes. It's such a long season, long grind, and you're looking at the big picture a lot. It can, I don't want to say it becomes overwhelming, but I think it takes away from just the focus of how you can just get a little bit better today, and things can continue to snowball, and we can continue to get better, work through the adversity or the challenges that we do face, or the things that can, maybe we haven't been as good on throughout the season or through recent stretches and whatnot. So I think first and foremost, it's just trying to take care of what we can and what we have to. Obviously, we have some great tests coming up, starting with Boston on Wednesday before our break, and that's a great chance to go out there and earn 2 points. And if it can chip away at things, that's great. And we'll obviously want to take advantage of that.
Well, we know you could have easily gone to Miami along with Willie Nylander. You're not, so maybe headed up to Collingwood or Niagara Falls for the break. Big plans?
Beach it.
Yeah, no, not nothing crazy. I think it'd be great to spend some time with the family and try to enjoy some winter. So I'm actually headed up to Mont Tremblant for a few days.
There you go.
Nice.
Winter has been it's been a little different in TO this year, so it'll be good. Get them on the skis and just to relax. Just nice to enjoy some peace and quiet and some good time with them, and it'll be good. It'll be really nice.
Well deserved. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on our show.
Yeah, thanks so much.
That is
appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, John Tavares.
That was a good interview. That was great.
See how I try to keep the money in Canada?
Yeah, that was nice. Tremblant.
Tremblant. That's good.
That is. Take that.
I liked a couple of his answers for sure, and the one that kind of stands out to me is just his routine and the way he tried to prepares himself, and there's something to be said about just.
Were you a routine guy?
I was a routine guy. I was not superstitious.
Yeah, that's healthy. But someone throws you off, you got to be able to.
But every once in a while, I'm like, okay, if I'm on a roll, like, why mess with it?
Yeah.
But no, I was not buried in this. I have to do this and I have to do that.
Yeah.
But what a regular routine does is it kind of kicks in your natural reaction to things, and if it becomes habit forming in a good way, then you won't get caught up in how big the moment is sometimes.
Right.
It's
automatic, right?
You let your subconscious kind of take over, and sometimes the body will just move without you actually putting a lot of emphasis on it mentally. And that's, I think, what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Hockey's so fluid. Like golf, people will have a swing trigger, right? You do all these things and you get above the ball and, whatever it is that for certain people before they hit it. It's not like that in hockey where you have to be open-minded, to a flow state and change a game and react. And so trying to get your brain in a position that's not too rigid is good, but you need to be rigid enough that you're prepared in the way that you usually are. You feel the same. You're right, but able to react the same. So it takes time to sort of dial in what a routine looks like. Obviously, he's been at it for a long time, and he's maybe the most consistent player on the team that's not named TJ Brody.
I think routine in all facets of life is super important. Like
totally agree.
For me, like every single day I do the exact same thing before I come to work. Like at
Which
the same
is
time.
nothing.
No, nothing. I do nothing.
Just
for this.
kidding.
No, but get up around the same time, walk the dog at the same time, make breakfast, coffee, everything exact same time, come to work around the same time.
Yeah.
And I went away for a while, went to Mexico, sure, it was great, but even by the end of that, I'm kind of missing the routine, kind of missing
big time
getting in. And I think
we are creatures of habit, though.
That's what I mean.
Well,
I think
and now with kids too, it's wild.
As an
if you get out of that,
as an NHLer, I would be the exact same way. Do everything at the exact same time, take the same route, same coffee before the game. To me, that stuff matters big time, and it obviously
There's
matters
pleasure
to John.
in that routine, right?
It is. Yes, absolutely. I love hearing him talk about that too, because it does matter big time. Look at the best players. Sid is a freak with his routine. He goes into the rink the same way, tapes his stick.
How about the warm up?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which
the same
Hockey
thing.
Night in Canada showed us on many occasions that,
His
whether it's
stretching and his
the stretching and the wiggle and the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's all part of the plan. I thought it was really interesting. Well, and he actually said a number of interesting things today, but just hearing him talk about, I guess, his teammates here and how easy it is to play with whether it's Marner and Willie, I guess that is sort of unsurprising, but being reflective of his career and just being proud of the whole thing and proud of coming to Toronto, right? Like that was a big decision, but clearly it's one of the things in his career that he's proud of.
Yeah.
So,
go
ahead.
I was just going to say, you got another point before I make. I don't want to kind of bring the energy down, but I'm going to give you guys a dose of reality.
All right,
but go ahead, Sammy.
I was just going to say that I was going to get into a bigger conversation about Johnny T, about just his legacy and what's coming up here. So maybe go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was going to get into.
Okay, perfect. So to me, he's got 2 more years after this one on the contract, which is crazy to think about. But these next 2.5 years are such massive swing years for his legacy in terms of, like, if they go to a final or, whatever that happens, if they happen to somehow win the cup in the next couple of years, what his perception will be in this city versus if they'll get put out in the first round a couple of years in a row again.
Yeah, if they never win a playoff round and he's a 48-point guy next year, it's different. They win a cup, he's,
I'm going to say the exact same thing that Sammy said, but it ain't the next 2 years or 3 years. It's 3 months.
Yeah?
Yeah. And we can go back to our earlier conversation on Brody and how he can kind of get away with things because he's in that sweet spot. JT's not in that sweet spot. He is going to have to lead. He's going to have to produce in the first round and hopefully the second or third round, or else he's going to be one of those guys that will get killed if they get knocked out in the first round. And and now, Sammy, a first round knockout puts Brendan Shanahan, Kyle Dubas, and the Shanahan plan all in jeopardy, which means you don't know what the next few years may look like for John Tavares or a lot of other guys. So
I don't think he's oblivious to that pressure.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But that's the reality here, that it's in the next 3 months, in that first round of the playoffs, it will be, hey, John, you're a point-a-game guy. If this thing goes 7, we want 7 points, maybe 8, and you're going to lead us here because that's what you're supposed to do when you're making $11 million a year.
Yeah, they play 7 games, and he gets 5 or 6 points. He'll get killed. If he gets 7 or 8 points, he'll be a hero, Like it's
do we advance with your 5 or 6?
Yeah,
it's on a knife's edge.
It is.
It really is.
Okay, 2 things that we need to cover off too. Number one is the ticket costs. So he's like the team was really helpful with that. He must have got a discounted box or something. The boys gave him his 2 tickets each,
right,
obviously.
I'm like, you can't come on air and say that. That's circumventing the salary cap.
Well, they arranged the
JT,
boxes.
don't go on any more shows and tell them that the team looked after me.
I feel like they might have given him, like, some of the teams maybe gave, like, he makes a lot of money, so it's hard for me to picture them buying his tickets for them, but maybe they bought some extra tickets for him.
Well, every player gets 2 tickets. If you got 20 guys in the, say, here's my 2, John, for the
40,
night,
But he said he had 70 people there?
60 or 70, he said, yeah. And
How
then
do you
the other thing,
smiling like
fellas,
that? What do you think went down?
I called his answer almost verbatim.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay.
You nailed it.
But I did kind of tee it up beautifully for him. I just lobbed it up, and he hit it right out of the park with your answer.
Threw him a strike, and he hit it, for sure. No, there's no doubt about it. But it is funny.
Classic, we can only control what we can control.
Yeah. No. To his credit, that was a insightful, thoughtful interview, and you can't say that about every interview you do with players. So for the record, and for the people listening, we don't always want players on our show because it's tough to get them to be interesting. And I thought Tavares did a good job, but that is typically for our preference. I don't always love it. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great, and thanks to the Toronto Maple Leafs for offering him.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
doesn't happen very often, but when it does, hey, we're
appreciative.
We are
for
appreciative.
sure.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and off the back end, Darren Pang.
Ooh.
We haven't had him on in a while. Former NHL goalie, hockey analyst for TNT, and a very good friend of the show. Darren Pang coming up after the break.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
The Kypreos, Justin Bourne. Waiting on Darren Pang, former NHL goalie, hockey analyst, TNT. Maybe Panger fills in for Rick Tocchet now. They're looking. It's not an easy fill.
Yeah, that's interesting. They got Keith Yandel on the desk once in a while. You know, Gretz could use a couple of reps probably.
Give me a chance.
Gretz doesn't work.
I know. I've noticed.
He's been on like 2 shows.
I know. It was like
an outdoor game.
There's only a guy on this very show that was super personable and great on TV. That might fit TNT.
No.
Do it, Kip.
I'm not dealing with the border.
The border.
They can send
American smuggling weed
they
10
can
years
send
ago or
American
something?
money up here, and I'll do it the pandemic style on remote.
A hologram at the desk. Yeah, they got options at TNT.
Those days are over.
Yeah. All right.
The new generation now. You, JB.
I don't know if I can fill Rick Tocchet's shoes. I am available though, were that to be of interest.
Look at Sammy working really hard to find Panger now. Now, a bit of an audible because Panger was supposed to come on earlier in the show, and then John Tavares was available. We traded him straight up at 345.
For Ralphie, though. I mean, I hate to bust on Ralphie here.
Where'd Ralphie come in?
This is Ralphie's slot. We're going to have
Sammy,
Ralphie tomorrow.
Was Ralphie in the deal?
Listen.
Did Ralphie help alleviate
We love the
salary
Toronto Maple.
cap?
We love the Toronto Maple Leafs very much for help providing John Tavares today, but it came at a very last minute. So we moved some stuff around. We kept Panger for today, and we're gonna have Jim Ralph tomorrow. And Panger's on the line right this very moment.
Oh my gosh, Panger, where you been?
Oh, you know what? If you had Ralphie, was that Jim Ralph?
Oh yeah, is there any other Ralphie?
Did you say Ralphie?
Ralph Furley?
There's no other Ralphie. Ralphie and I, man, do we go back a long way. He emceed my wedding in 1987.
What?
My first roommate of pro hockey in Milwaukee.
What was his fee back then?
Yeah, in Milwaukee too. What was what?
What was his fee back then? His fee. What did he charge
he did
you
the
to
wedding
MC?
for free. I know. Nothing. He did it for free for me because he said I'm a special little bald guy, and he would do it for free for me.
What an honor. Well, that's so funny. We should have had you on at the same time. You guys, I'm sure, have some stories.
Are
that
you
go
guys
back.
the same age?
No, Ralphie's a couple of years older than me. Kipper, he was an all-time great Ottawa '67. He played as an underage.
Of course, yes.
And then I got drafted to Belleville, and then the year before that, Ralphie went to, or maybe it was 2 years before that, he went to turn pro with Chicago, and then I got traded to Ottawa, and then I signed with the Blackhawks, and so I was at training camp with Ralphie. We were roommates on the road in Milwaukee. We Randy Boyd as well. We had the time of our lives until Ralphie hurt his knee. Ralphie was a great goalie. He was the next guy up for the Blackhawks. He hurt his knee in Toledo, Ohio, against the Gold Diggers. I think Don Waddell was on that team. And so then his career kind of slowed down after that. And wouldn't you know it, I got called up. The Blackhawks had an injury, and I got called up and played my first game. And poor Ralphie was sitting there with a big cast over his knee with a torn MCL, and he got the 9 of hearts, and I got the I got the puck. I got to play a game. So I always felt bad for Ralphie for that, to be quite honest with you. And I stay close to him to this day.
Just buy him a beer, nachos. He'll be fine.
He's fine.
Well, you don't think I haven't bought him a beer before?
Oh, maybe 2 or 3.
That's for sure.
So listen.
So what's going on with you boys today? Anyway, I'm in Winnipeg. It's about minus 50 here.
So
like
TNT. Big game?
No, it's actually the only game in the NHL tonight. If you actually looked at the NHL game schedule, Kipper, you'd see that there's only one game tonight. Toronto's not playing, actually. The Winnipeg and St. Louis are the only game in action tonight.
I'm sorry, there's other teams in the league?
I was going to remind you of that. Yeah, there are other teams in the league, yeah. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Well, we're going into the All-Star break here, Panger. And Boston all of a sudden has lost a couple, and the Leafs beat Washington. Is this kind of the Bruins coming down to earth, or anybody have thoughts, including the Leafs, of catching them? You're wasting your time.
Oh no! Listen. We got lots of hockey left to go here, Kipper. I mean, loads of hockey, momentum, and getting on a roll. Boston has been impressive. I mean, the only thing that can stop Boston probably is Boston. Trying to keep this up. I think of the 1977 Montreal Canadiens when Scotty Bowman was coaching, and then when Scotty was coaching the Red Wings in 95, 96. That's the most points, and they were. I mean, how do you keep going every single game and keep your game up? So I think Boston naturally was going to find themselves in a bit of a lull, and Carolina played a pretty decent game there too. Yesterday, that's a pretty darn good team. I got them Wednesday on TNT in Buffalo, and I love watching Carolina play. But going back to you, I think Toronto has a chance. I'm going to knock down some of the teams. I mean, Carolina and Toronto would have the only chance for me of catching the Boston Bruins at this particular point in the East.
So, Panger, you got the Blues-Jets
Nobody
game
else.
tonight. A little bit fascinated by this Blues team that, for a while there was like, here they come again. It's the Blues, and they've lost 4 straight. And, frankly, not great luck. Some of the games, losing to Arizona, I think 5-0. Where are they at? Is this still a team that has hopes of playoffs and contention, or is it kind of turning the other way here?
Well, how many of them do the Toronto Maple Leafs are they knocking on the door at the trade deadline?
Right.
They are a team right now that, this is just me. I don't personally, see the UFAs on the Blues team. The UFAs are Ivan Barbashev's a UFA, Nola Chari's a UFA, Vladdy Tarasenko's a UFA, and Nico Mikkola, big defenseman, is a UFA, and so is obviously O'Reilly. So there's your UFAs right there. And I would have to think at this particular point, Army has seen the good, he's seen the hope, he has seen some will, and then I think he's seen some games like you just mentioned, Bourne, listen, they lost at home to Chicago, and then they trailed in the game early. They lost at home to Buffalo, they trailed 4-0 in the game, and they trailed 1-0 after 20 seconds and 2-0 after a minute and 25. And then they went into Arizona. They trailed in that game, and they lost it. Didn't score a goal on the Arizona Coyotes, who played actually a really hard game and played like a team that was thinking they were going to make the playoffs, to be quite honest with you. And then they went into Colorado and fell behind in that game. So for 4 straight games, they fell behind by 3 or more goals. And so that would tell me that Doug Armstrong, who is going to be heading out to Europe and doing some scouting this upcoming week, I would have to think that he's looking at all those UFAs and sending out text to the NHL and saying, hey, this is what I got. These are the UFAs. Is there interest out there? Which I'm sure there's going to be tons of interest if that's the case.
We're talking to Darren Pang, former National Hockey League goaltender, top analyst on TNT and for the St. Louis Blues. We had Army, Panger, we had Army on maybe about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and we talked a little bit about the trade deadline. And there was a sense that even if he was going to unload a few, he doesn't think that this team has to bottom out by any stretch, not when you have the likes of a Thomas or a Kyrou. So is there a chance that we may only see like 1 or 2 guys move out and St. Louis still in the hunt a year or 2 from now to challenge?
You know what? I think so. I agree with Army. If he saw a little bit more like determination and competitiveness and togetherness from this club in the last couple of weeks, then I could see him still moving a UFA based on the fact that, I'll just be hypothetical. Let's just say that it's an Ivan Barbashev, that is finally going to get a payday. He's been underpaid for so long in this league. I know his agent is the same agent as Ilya Mikhailov, who got 4.75 with Vancouver. I think Barbashev's probably maybe looking at a price right now that may be a little, maybe high. So maybe you get a lot for him, because I think you would get a lot for him. He's the kind of guy that can move into any top competing cup contender and just blend in, play his heart out. He's a good forechecker. He's a smart player. He's been number 1 or number 2 on the PK. He gets some number 2 minutes on the power play, and he can play center or he can play wing. So, what I'm saying is, Army would look at whoever brings the most and say, listen, I can move that player, get some assets, and who knows, at the end of the day, maybe he comes back and re-signs with me. But this team is not a bottom-out team, not a chance. Not when you've got Parayko and Falk, and you got Krug and Leddy, and you mentioned Kyrou and Thomas. You got Shen for another 5 years. You got Brandon Saad. I mean, these are all really good NHL players, and maybe like, I don't know what's going to happen with Ryan O'Reilly, guys. I have no idea, but I love the guy. I think the world of him, and I think this team would be much worse place if he's not a member of the St. Louis Blues. But if anybody gets Ryan O'Reilly at the deadline, he may be the guy that gets them over the top.
Barbashev sounds like a perfect fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll say it right here. What do you think the Leafs would have to give up to get him?
I think he would. Now that part, I don't know. You know what? I think every general manager looks at their players and has a high value for them, especially a guy that was a big part of winning the Stanley Cup. You guys remember it. Like, he and Alexander Steen and Oscar Sundqvist were on the same line. They started every shift, every period. They went up against the other team's best players. I mean, he's got that experience. He's only 27 years old. He can skate well. He doesn't get hurt. So, I mean, if I'm looking at a player to go onto a Stanley Cup contender and be a seamless addition, because that's what you want. You don't want to upset the apple cart. When you think that you have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, the last thing you can do is maybe, and I'll say this out loud, but like last year, the Panthers, they brought a former captain of the Philadelphia Flyers there. All of a sudden, you're looking at the power play, and now who's going to be there? It's going to be Drew's going to take that half wall spot. The puck's going to go through him. Anyway, there's a lot of times where things are going really well. You may not have to add that kind of player. But a player like a Barbashev, even like Nola Chari has actually played really, really well for the Blues. Those are the kind of pieces that put teams over the top. The Butch Gorings, that kind of guy. And Barbashev is a really good person, a really hard worker, and a really good player.
Well, you'll have to excuse us for, picking at the not yet carcass here a little bit in Toronto, but I want to know about Nico Mikkola. This guy's 6'4", left shot D-man. Defends is a priority. Does he ever get angry? Is there anything there?
Is there a little muzzin from in his prime in him? He's actually got some. He's got some angst to him.
Okay.
He's not afraid to do anything like that. He's not going to go drop the mitts and scare anybody. But he's a very competitive person. He's a Finn. They always look like they're on the ice and they've got a little anger to them. Right. And that's Nico. Nico's a good kid. Very unique that that's a UFA at a young age and a guy that played really, really well here. And I think he's at 1.75, maybe something like that. So that will be interesting if he's a defenseman that moves along, because the Blues have Perunovic on injured reserve all year, Marco Scandella. So they do have some depth. They've got Robert Bortuzzo for another year, and they've got Calle Rosen, I think, for another year as well. So they do have some depth back there, but. No, Nico's a good player. He's a good defender. You know what he does? He's a good defender. He stops the cycle. That's what coaches talk about this time. Can you stop the cycle? You got a long stick. Will you block shots? Are you a good penalty killer? And that's what Mikkola is.
Me?
Sure.
Seattle, Panger, done in the playoffs. They can't blow this lead, can they, going into the All-Star break?
Wow, 63. I'm looking at it right now. Hang on, Kyper. 63 points. I think they're going to be in it at the end. Fighting for a spot at the end. I think the veteran teams are going to pick up some steam here. I think Calgary's going to pick up steam. Colorado's not going to look back. Edmonton's right there. LA. Seattle's the team that you wonder about because of where they were last year and how they played. But man, have they turned it around in the way they're playing. Kyper, I don't know if you've seen them play very much, but man, they play fast. They get the puck up the ice. They got some
depth
pieces and some feisty players up front. Yeah, and they do. Can I see them dropping off a little bit and having to really fight for that last wild card 1 or wild card 2? Yeah, I can, because I think the veteran teams that have been there and done that before are the ones that are going to continue to climb up the ladder in those tough games in the last month of March.
Panger, you got the Jets you're mentioning tonight. You know, that's one of Canada's hopes here. You know, they got off to a really hot start. They struggling a little bit of late. What do you make of that Jets team and their ability to contend this year?
Well, they haven't played well their last three, that's for sure. And that's what Rick Bowness was saying this morning. I mean, they got shut out by Philly in the last one. But you know how many teams have got beat by Chicago and Philly and Arizona, you know, lately? It's been quite amazing. But they're a good team. I think they're rock solid. They got good defensive zone coverage. That's one thing that the Blues haven't been doing very well. They haven't been a five-man unit kind of defending and skating hard back to their own net. They give up too many chances. And the Winnipeg Jets, by and large, take care of their own, even though Hellebuck's a three-time All-Star. So, you know what, I like them. I like them. And I think this place is such a home ice advantage. I just, you know, it gets going here. The atmosphere is incredible. And I think this is their time to kind of move forward here, especially with the way Morrissey's playing and Pionk. I think they're simplifying. Their D-core just plays a simple game, and they play hard for one another. So yeah, I'm liking what I see there with the Winnipeg Jets for sure.
And really, a ton of pressure on Cheveldayoff to add to this, because regardless of what you think moving forward, 12 to 18 months with so many key guys in contract situations, this team's going to look vastly different in a year and a half.
Yeah, very, very much so. But he has not been afraid to pull the trigger on a deal at the deadline. And, you know, a lot of times he goes for that center ice position. He went for Hayes. He went for Stastny. I don't think you have to do that now with Dubois and Scheifele and Lowry. And who's that third line? Oh, Kevin Stenlund, the former Columbus Blue Jacket pick. So, you know, I wouldn't think that he has to do too much there unless he's afraid of the lack of experience on that fourth line and wants to improve that. But those are the kind of players that, I mean, they're not a dime a dozen out there. But I just mentioned one myself, in Noel Acciari. Like, you know, I mean, you're not going to give up a whole lot. And I'm not saying that Noel Acciari's going anywhere. I'm just saying he's a UFA that fits whatever need, you know, you need to have at the deadline. Like, a right-hand shot that wins 52% of the draws, that's been in the Stanley Cup final before and played hard for Bruce Cassidy. So, I mean, I think that and probably a depth D, and that's probably, I would think that's probably it for the Winnipeg Jets, and then just move along and see how you can do. I think they can challenge anybody in the Western Conference and give themselves a chance.
Before we let you go, Panger, just get your thoughts on the Leafs goaltending situation. Ilya Samsonov has kind of become the guy. Maybe a nagging injury for Matt Murray is partially why. You know, where do they go from here? Do you think they need another goalie, knowing that Murray is a bit of a Fabergé egg at times? A little, you know, not to blame him, but it's tough, right, Kyper?
Yeah.
It's a tough league.
It is. That is tough. I mean, he has obviously history of getting injured and odd injuries. And I think the last time I was on the program here, this award-winning program that I'm on, I was talking about how, you know, his lateral movement, how he goes post to post, how he pushes out. There's a lot of things that just look a little awkward, and then bang, it's just one little fall, and you know, you've got an injury that you don't know if he can come back and play in. So if I'm this is just me talking. If I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't mind adding a veteran to have at the deadline. And worst case scenarios, you've got three NHL goalies that have experience. If you can make a move for an NHL goalie, have experience, and you can, you know, have three goaltenders in your first round playoffs. So your number one guy hardly even skates. So you've got that competitiveness there, but you've got somebody that's ready to go. And there's a load of veteran NHL goaltenders that are out there that are UFAs. Thomas Greisch is with the Blues. He's one of them, but there's a number of them that you go around the league and you say, well, would that guy be helpful? And could he win a game for us? That's what you also have to think about. You're not just going to trade for an older goaltender or a veteran guy and his game has passed him by. You have to know that guy's going to put on the pads, and if he ends up being the number two because of an injury, that he can step in and be, you know, the first, second, or third star in a playoff game. Because otherwise, what's the point of having him? I mean, what do they say about it? He's a good guy. He's a good guy in the room. Just leave him there. You don't want that kind of guy. You want a guy that can get out on the ice and make a difference and win a playoff round. So, and answering your question, yes, I would factor in there and make sure that I've got one more guy there that's NHL ready and not just a great prospect. And I know they've got some great prospects there, but you want a guy that wouldn't be shy when the lights are at its brightest.
See, you're a good guy in the room too, and that's why I'm hoping that maybe Rick Tocchet left you a couple of suits so you could jump on the panel seamlessly.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, Kyper. I'm going to go do just some of that and take up the spot of Tocchet. I can't believe that Dickie left us. I'm really sad by that. I thought he was really I think he was really coming into his own on that panel and kept that panel, I think, together. So that's a bummer, but good for him. I'm glad he's out there. I know that if you coach before, it's hard to not coach. It's in your blood. So, but certainly going to be missed. Maybe I'll get you on there, Kyper, a couple of times.
No, I love watching, and now it's gone to another level. And the next time,
you're a beauty.
The next time Biz sings on the show, can they not find you a spot with like a tambourine or something just off the side?
Tambourine would be the perfect musical instrument for me. Perfect. The tambourine.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Hey, it's turning into quite.
I'm sure you guys have covered a lot of. Sorry, but I was just going to say that I'm sure you've covered a lot of Bobby Robert Marvin Hull passing away today.
We're getting there.
Yes. We lost a legend. No question about that. The NHL alumni announcing the death of Hall of Famer Bobby Hull. One of the very best. I mean, when I was a kid, the number 9 came up, and my dad's like, grab number 9, because that's Gordie Howe and Bobby Hull. That's what you knew, right? And the Rocket, of course.
And the Rocket, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. A funny story. I'm sorry if you run out of time, but
no, we're good.
Funny story. But when he was coming back to play for the Hartford Whalers when the NHL merged and everything, Bobby was trying to make a comeback, and he was either going to go to the Rangers or the Hartford Whalers. And I was practicing with the Belleville Bulls at the time, and we were getting ready for our season. And Bobby's son, Bobby Jr., was trying out as well. So Bobby would skate with us. And I just remember him coming down that Quinty arena that we had. Remember, it was 100 by 200, that big arena, Kyper. Yep. And it was Bobby Hull flying down the wing, trying to score, trying to skate, trying to keep up as he was trying to make a comeback in the NHL with the Hartford Whalers at that time. And I'll never forget it, just because we had the opportunity to have Bobby Hull like on the ice with us, even though it was at the very end. And he could hardly play anymore, but man, it was unbelievable to see him there.
Well, Panger, we really appreciate your time on the show, man. As always, great stuff. Have a great call tonight in Winnipeg, and we'll catch up to you soon, man.
I will, bud.
Thanks, Panger.
That sounds great, you guys. Keep up the great work.
You too,
Talk to you later, boys.
Darren Pang. Just Bobby Hull. I mean, when it comes to the slap shot and how everything evolved around, bigger than life kind of personality.
Yeah.
He carried it for a good portion in the 60s.
Yeah. I obviously can't speak to any of that. And what's so challenging talking about this sort of stuff is obviously a lot of off-ice stuff with Bobby Hull. And, so all I can do is kind of go off what other people say. Here's a tweet from Garrett Joyce, who talking about Bobby Hull today. He says, sublime talent, good to great teammate, lousy sibling son, absent father, abusive and violent husband, guy who signed the biggest contract in sports, later broke. This is Garrett Joyce, a guy who made hundreds of players $100 million, and none of them gave him a job until he was in Chicago. He says, tell me where I've got it wrong. He was not always beloved as a guy, Bobby Hull. Incredible legacy as a player, obviously.
Hall of Famer, Bobby Hull, dead at age 84. Okay, the Bruins.
Yes.
Losers of 3 in a row. Like we haven't said that all year. Right? We have not said that all year.
7.
It was just a matter of time, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, every team goes through this skid at some point. Again, it's 82-game season, good team or not. You got a couple injuries, couple of bad bounces here and there. 3 in a row, though.
You know what kind of sucks for me is that we know they're coming in town on Wednesday, and somebody wins 5-2, somebody loses 5-2. It's the last one before the break.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's pulling out we've already checked out, or we're already on All-Star break, or we're already on.
You think it takes away from the matchup?
100%.
Damn it.
I don't envision playoff intensity. I don't envision what we saw just a few days before between Boston and Tampa Bay. It's the last one.
It's really hard. And this isn't just a hockey thing, but you at home listening you know what it's like before the last day before a long weekend, or
last day before Christmas.
Yeah, like
break.
it's not the same. And so as a player, you tell yourselves, okay, it's, one more focus. It matters just the same, but there's a different feel to, okay, we actually have a week before we play after this. We can go out to the Bahamas or to Mont Tremblant or whatever.
Sammy,
after.
Did you see the turnover from David Pastrnak to?
Yes.
It's about if Willie Nylander did that, Kyper, the show that we would have talking about that turnover he made, and then you're like, I love pasta. It's like, oh, he's just rich man's Nylander. He's rich man's Nylander.
Tough Willie with 12.
No, he's not even
I
that
don't
tough.
know.
He turns the puck over. He gives bad efforts on other nights. Like he's not perfect.
No.
Pasta.
Well, listen, when you run the risk of doing what he does every night, and on a lot of nights where it turns out well, you can live with that. I don't think he's the type of player that's notoriously been known as being as high risk as maybe Willie in the past. Now, Willie's cleaned up a lot of his game, and the majority of it comes on the backs of him being a lot more focused and a lot more engaged from shift to shift.
It is crazy. Willie, we talked about TJ Brody and how we never come in here and say he had a bad game. Willie had a stretch of 5 or 6 games where he didn't score, and that's like the only stretch really. And even then he was fine. Like he hasn't.
Willie still is going to find nights where he cheats and pulls out early.
Yeah, but listen, I watched the Oilers play the other night, and the greatest player on earth, Connor McDavid, there's a puck bouncing out to the point. And he blows past the puck, hoping that it best gives. So the D-man, I'm saying the best offensive players take some chances.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And they will.
Yeah, and they have
continue to do that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
But it also has been noted over the last few years that Connor needed to be better defensively, and that if they were going to go to the next level, then he's going to have to make a better commitment in his own zone.
Yeah.
Like that's been out there for quite a while.
Yeah. And, the odds of McDavid, like if it bounces over a D-man's stick and you're Kerfoot, you don't want to take that chance and cheat because you're probably not scoring on that breakaway. Whereas Willie and McDavid, the rewards are huge. If it bounces, they're probably going to score. So I get why he has, but you're right. Come playoffs, you don't want to be on the wrong end of that equation where you fly the zone and they're going the other way.
And at the end of the day, I mean, for Sammy to kind of compare the two and the success that Pastrnak has had in the playoffs, and I haven't seen too many of those turnovers over his career. You live with that, and I don't. If
I just don't think they're
if
as
Willie,
different as everyone
if Willie
thinks
was to do that Wednesday night, I don't think he'd get killed. I think he's
earned some grace.
There's just going to be that acceptance, Sammy, that you go, okay, this is what he does. Sometimes you got to take a chance on creativity when you have that world class talent. And you're going to have to live with it.
Yeah. Willie is 14th in the NHL in scoring right now, 59 points, 28 goals. Marner also has 59 points.
You think he's pissed he's
Matthews
not going to the All-Star game?
You know how many Matthews has? 53. 6 points behind Willie and Mitch, although he's played less games. But sorry, ask me that again.
Yeah. Is he pissed he's not going to the All-Star game?
He is going now, isn't he? Is he going?
I don't know. Did somebody get hurt?
I thought I heard something that he was going. Maybe not. Oh. If I had to bet.
Where did that come out of the sky?
If it is about the All-Star game, I don't know the answer.
Would you think that he'd want to go, though?
He's not there.
Yeah.
He's not there.
Barkov replaced him.
Okay.
Yeah, Barkov replaced
did.
him.
Okay.
But
no, I don't think he'd want to go. Oh, actually, wait. Let me change that. I do think he'd want the honor once in his career, at least.
I got to think that, maybe there's still a chance between now and, midweek that somebody gets hurt and he can. I would think he'd be left. He'd be the only one left right now that you would go.
How is he not in?
He'd be the next replacement if someone pulled the chute.
For sure. And in how injuries are this time, if anyone has a visible bruise, they'll check out, right? Like Nathan McKinnon got asked about, going what he's doing over the All-Star break, and he was like, I got voted in, so I'm going. Just like so disappointed. It's like, no, that may happen to Willie here.
Mikheyev.
I was gonna say there's another All-Star, All-Star game thing that Matty Beniers is not going, and he's injured, and his replacement is not a Squid. So there is no Squid represented at the All-Star game.
Actually, I think same with Vegas. I want to say
Chandler Stevenson is his replacement.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. So there's no Squid involved.
So that's a good sign.
Fine, that they will do that.
And if nobody notices or cares in Seattle, then maybe next year you can have real All-Stars and not care about having every team represented.
You hate to rip on guys, but you can't talk about the NHL all year without, some guys don't have good seasons. I watched that Blackhawks game against the Oilers the other night.
Seth?
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. All-Star. Like calling him an All-Star is, he hasn't been an All-Star this year.
I think that's fair to say.
And so what are we doing? You take away credibility of the game.
Is he the most noticeable out of all of them? Because
I think so.
The NHL did a good job of kind of making sure
Every team's
there
got
wasn't
a guy.
anything too controversial.
I just don't if you're maybe Patrick Kane didn't want to go. I'm just thinking, even if he's got 30 points or something, it's not like he's been a schlub. He's a Hall of Famer in weight. You think you would have Kane go, but I'm sure Kane took the option.
Okay, bring me up to speed on Mikheyev this weekend, because there was a lot of tweets coming from Ilya Mikheyev kind of justifying pulling himself out of the lineup to get healthy for next season.
In perfectly crafted English, by the way.
So what are we insinuating here? That
why did someone say, hey, we need a PR statement here?
Okay, but why?
Because the Canucks are getting buried in the PR front. And the Tanner Pearson injury, they messed up, and people were quick to go, they must have messed up this Mikheyev thing too. Is that a fair connection?
So why don't they do it? Why does a player feel like he needs to justify a health decision?
Because they just give him $20 million.
Can you do this for us, please?
Listen, Sportsnet gives me 20 schmil. I'll say some things for him. Let me tell you. Yeah, I think that's part of it. And so I do believe that Mikheyev, would have been eager to get out there and clarify the message. People saying that they botched his injury or whatever. But again, we know he learned English very recently, and it is like flawlessly written. And I'm sure he got help with it to get the message across clearly, but it does seem like a PR message.
But they obviously they wanted him to play. They thought at the start of this year that they were going to be a winning team because of the way they closed last year. He's their big ticket item. I remember Frank Saravelli reported it, and then he got killed for it. Remember that earlier in the year that he's reported that he tore his ACL? Yeah, there was a report during camp that he did it, and then they walked it back and they said he did, and he's going to play, and then he plays with a partially torn ACL.
Did Hyman do that for the Leafs? Did he play in playoffs with a torn?
Yeah, he did.
Something
torn
CL. Yeah.
So
he was
taking draws on his weak side. Thanks, Babs.
Yeesh. Yeah, you can play on it.
Listen, this wasn't as big of a deal when I played, but it's a very big deal now in terms of, who's hurt, who's not, who's playing hurt, who's not, who's responsible, who's not. Like Pacioretty with Carolina now is coming off of surgery for his Achilles tendon that people are questioning.
So let me ask you this.
And he's UFA.
Yeah. Interesting to see who gives him a kick.
How are you getting a new contract now? People are saying, okay, you're twice removed off of a bad Achilles tendon, and you're 35
Finland,
years old.
He got it done in Finland, some specialty clinic.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going somewhere totally different to get this figured out.
How much did he lose?
Mm-hmm.
He came back in a short period of time. I think he had 3 goals in a few games.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have been able to go on a nice run, maybe Carolina gets to a conference final, that guy could have been looking at $5, $6, $7 million on a short-term deal next year.
Yeah.
Who's going to give him that now?
No one. It will be interesting to see what he does get. So it does bring up an issue with who should have the final say in when you're good to come back. You know, obviously Jack Eichel's injury looms over all this. The team didn't want him to do what he wanted to do, and the player, you know, deserves to do what he wants to do with his own body. I don't know about you, but like when I was injured, I had a torn MCL. To the doctors, I was like, you tell me. I don't know. I didn't go to school. Like I can feel, it feels okay. You tell me when I can go back. Who should have the sort of say in terms of these guys? Okay, Ilya, you're gonna play, you're gonna not play. Do the players decide? What do we know?
Any team could just argue that, you know, we felt you were fine, and but it's your call.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be my call, you know? Like, I don't know.
Hey, but you do want it to be when it doesn't work out in your favor.
Yes.
And sometimes we're hard on the Leafs for this, boys, about being careful with guys and giving them the extra day. And we joke about the 100 cooks in the kitchen.
But, I mean,
this is
Murray played last game, and you were saying, why is he even around if he's hurt?
Well, I guess that slipped through the cracks, but it's a rare thing for them. Like, it often doesn't happen like this where they are... Like, it's like Brody, like, remember early in the year, like, oh, he's feeling better. He probably could go tonight, but we're going to give him a couple extra days to get ready when he was coming off the oblique. Same with
that's
Tavares.
part BR, too, of just, like, demonstrating that they're trying to be careful with people that, you know, always ready, but we're going to give them 2 more games to even make that a public statement. Like, there's management of the injury, management of the message, management of the players' expectations. I feel like this about all things that I know nothing about, like doing my taxes or whatever. Like, you just tell me what I owe. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know how to fly a plane. I just do words about hockey.
We got a couple of minutes left. We got to talk about the Oilers putting in their e-bug, their emergency backup goaltender.
Right.
Which...
Matt Berlin?
I don't know. Is it?
Berlin's his last name.
Yeah.
I think it's Matt.
Like... It's fine, but this is still like there's a part of me that is bothered by this being the best league in the world.
Yeah.
And
I think that's great that you're bothered by that. And I'm not just saying that.
I'm bothered by it. It's
honor
the best
to get
league in the world, and we're handing these things out like it's like we're taping Fantasy Island or something, you know. And it's like buzz, the e-bug boss. It's like, you know, like what are we doing here? People are paying $300. It's not like. You know, what was that line you gave me before the show, which was pretty good?
Oh, I don't know. What did I say?
Can I say it?
Sure.
Yeah. Is this the NHL or is this Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Yeah. No, I get it. Fair. And so what's the solution, though? I guess it's it.
I get it's a great gesture, and it is a great moment, but are we going to start, like, you know?
It's a hell of a zag, Kyper. I'm here for it.
Well, should every team have, like, a guy? Like, I wonder if you took an American Hockey League goalie and said, instead of playing this year for your American League team, we're going to give you $500,000 and you can just practice with us all year long and wait till we might need you. We may never need you.
I don't think it's
Could
not
every team in the league do that?
It's not a David Ayres situation, right? It's a guy
who's a player.
He's
He plays for the Golden Bears, the best team in Canada.
Picking people out of the stands to give them their fantasy moments.
No, but this isn't David Ayres. This guy was
I
at least a
know.
goalie.
No, he is a goalie.
Yeah.
But now you're handpicking opportunities.
Probably pretty
Ayres
pissed
fell
if you're
into
Chicago,
it.
too.
Like you had no choice.
Right.
Those were the rules. Whether you like them or not, those are the rules. But this one, now you're handing people opportunities like this.
Right,
anyways, well, pick it up for another day. Our thanks to Darren Pang and John Tavares, captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Do you know what Contrave is? Maybe not. But your doctor does.
Contrave tablets are covered for most patients with private insurance.